Hello, everyone. Well, it's 12:30 now. We'll just wait another couple minutes for people to arrive, and then we'll get started with our presentations today. Okay, so I just want to be mindful of time and make sure that our presenters have enough time to talk about the really fascinating research projects that they're working on. So first of all, I just want to say thank you all for being here. And I would like to introduce all of you who do not know her already to our student organizer, Maxine Wright, who has worked tirelessly to get this event put on in a way that is still engaging and interesting for everybody. So we're so excited to have you all here. Maxine Wright is a PhD student in the sociology department. And we're so lucky to have her working with us on this event. So I will turn it over to Maxine to introduce you to our student presenters for today.
Really excited to see everyone, and I just want to echo Christine's thanks for coming. Our student presenters have a wonderful group of projects to show you guys today, and yeah, so our presenters are Weda Patogduan, Izzy Saderbaum, Xiaowen Guo, Johan Min, Ellie Terry, June Yang, and yeah, I think that's it. So just to go over briefly the format of the talk today, we'll start with 2-minute presentations by our presenters, and then we're going to move into breakout rooms. And each poster presenter will be in their own breakout room, and they'll share their poster in their breakout room, and attendees will be able to move between breakout rooms, because once you're in your breakout room, you'll see a more button, and you should be able to choose which breakout room you go to next. So you'll be able to circulate through all of the poster presenters and provide them with optional feedback. Yeah, Christine, anything to add?
No, thank you. And then as I'm sure you all noticed, we're recording this session. And so if you would like to look back at some of these presentations, we'll make that available to you as well. And also if there are any technical difficulties with getting into your breakout rooms, once we get to that point, we'll help you troubleshoot that as well.
Sorry. So our very first presentation is going to be from Xiaowen Guo, and her talk is going to be, I can't find the name of your talk, I'm sorry, Xiaowen. So why don't you go ahead and share your screen? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen first. Can everyone see my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. So first I want to thank Maxine and Christine for this warm introduction, and thanks CSE community for organizing this event, and thanks everyone for tuning in this trying time. My name is Xiaowen Guo, and I'm a doctoral student from the Department of Political Science. It's an honor to be here and share my work with all of you on this topic: information provision and civic engagement in authoritarian regimes. So this study is motivated by this question: why do citizens take actions to voice their complaints in authoritarian regimes? On one hand, they might be held back owing to the foreseeable risks like repression or retaliation. And on the other side, their appeals can fall on the deaf ears owing to the lack of political accountability of authoritarian governments. I boiled down this puzzle to a more narrow question by zooming in a more specific resource of civic engagement, information provision. So my question in this project is, will information provision facilitate civic engagement in authoritarian regimes? And if so, why? So in this research project, I use a quasi-natural experiment to answer this question. China's real-time air quality monitoring and disclosure program, which started in 2013. This information program actually allows for tracking air pollution data by an automated system and sharing data with multiple stakeholders. I want to look at whether access to pollution information impacts civic engagement in the form of filing environmental petitions. I use multiple sources of data in this project. First, I use web scraping and NLP techniques to retrieve the petition data and map civic engagement in the environmental domain, which is my outcome variable. And then I look at the data of automation dates to capture the intervention of treatment. Then I use satellite data to capture the ground level air pollution, which is mostly non-manipulable by human beings. I then include weather data and socioeconomic data as controls. Here is a screenshot of what it looks like. Each dot here refers to a real-time air monitoring station, and the color here refers to the air quality index, ranging from the worst, the purple one, to the best, the green one. Here is a quick overview of my findings. I find that access to pollution information actually facilitates civic engagement in authoritarian regimes, and in this case, China. By discourse analysis, I find that citizens start to use more technical languages beyond describing their personal experiences. Also, they demonstrated their appreciation to the central government in environmental governance. This figure here is kind of give you some sense about the rollout of its program. It is implemented in 3 waves, starting from the darker blue ones to the lighter blue ones. And here are some specific procedures that how I approach this question. First, I take a look at whether citizens are able to access data of better quality. I check whether there's any existence of strategic reporting, like discarding high pollution readings, manipulation over certain threshold, etc. I then look at a specific petition language to see how they voice their discontent. I use empirical analysis here, even study design, to see whether information provision brings about any change in civic engagement. And I find out the positive effect of this information provision program. I then use a bunch of robustness checks using different subsamples and adding more stringent controls. And I find out that this positive effect is consistent across the board. The study shows that information provision may ironically facilitate authoritarian durability. And the reason is that it is likely that people in authoritarian regime do not read a sign as bad government performance in the past, but more of a goodwill and determination for the future. I'll leave it here for now and save more questions for Q&A in the breakout rooms. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Our next presenter is going to be Johan Min. Johan is a doctoral student in the College of Built Environment and is going to be telling us today about energy justice in terms of distributional and recognition justice, from what to where and who. So Johan, whenever you are ready.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining my presentation. The topic is energy justice, for where and who, distributional and recognition justice. Climate change and clean energy policies has led to rapid transition to new energy systems. Social equity in energy justice could be discussed in distributional justice, where the technologies are, and recognition justice, who benefits from that. Current body of knowledge lacks synergies of technology combination and its implication to vulnerable communities. In this regard, two representing residential clean energy technologies, rooftop solar and EV chargers, were analyzed to answer 2 questions: how adoption patterns are different, and what are their implications for vulnerable communities. PV and EV distribution were analyzed with 4 indices induced from 9 built environment and demographic variables using factor analysis. 5 cluster groups were identified regarding energy justice and vulnerabilities. The result shows PV is housing index sensitive, while EV is economic index sensitive. In particular, the more vulnerable, the more sensitive to the housing index for PV adoption. but the less sensitive to the economic index for EV adoption. Furthermore, the more vulnerable, the less correlated between EV and PV. In conclusion, this study identifies vulnerable communities and their characteristics regarding rooftop solar and EV chargers. Housing-related support may favor more vulnerable communities. On the other hand, economic support may favor less vulnerable communities. This will help policymakers leverage their synergies of those two technologies in terms of distributional and equalization justice. Thank you for my presentation, joining my presentation.
Thank you so much, Johan. Our next presenter is going to be Weda Patwardhan. She is a doctoral candidate in the School of Public Policy, and she's going to be talking to us about maternal cash transfers and child nutrition, evidence from India.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. In my paper, I look at the effect of maternal cash transfers on child nutrition. I look at a conditional cash transfer scheme in India, which is targeted at pregnant and lactating women. And what makes this program different from other cash transfers is that it's not means tested. So existing work on cash transfers and health and nutrition has largely focused on means tested programs in Latin America and Sub-Saharan Africa. And this raises the issue of how a different program design wherein benefits are not means tested, but targeted specifically during pregnancy and the postnatal period affects child well-being. Also, India is an important geography to study in this context, as there is a high prevalence of child undernutrition despite economic growth, and it is the world's second most populous country. And finally, in my paper, I look at disaggregated effects by child gender, which is important for contexts like India with documented son preference. So the CT program I look at is called the Mamta scheme. It was launched in 2011 in the eastern Indian state of Odisha, highlighted here in red. I use a survey data from the DHS, which is called the National Family Health Survey in India, and a difference in differences strategy based on the program's eligibility criteria. And I estimate impacts on children's height and weight. This is for children under 5. I find positive and statistically significant effects on both of the height and weight measures that I use. And these are my latest findings. So this suggests that maternal cash benefits, which are not means tested, could be very valuable to reduce stunting and wasting in India. Thank you for listening. And if you would like to know more, stop by at my poster.
Wonderful presentation. And moving right along, our next presenter is going to be Izzy Sederbaum. He is a doctoral student in the School of Public Policy and is telling us about wage theft and asking, is wage theft an externality of raising the minimum wage? Izzy, take it away.
Great. So give me 1 sec while I share my screen. Sorry, turns out when you have presenter mode on PowerPoint, it doesn't want to let you also see Zoom. So give me 1 moment. Perfect. Okay, so very quickly, wage theft is not getting paid for the work that you do. So generally speaking, we're talking about not getting paid the minimum wage, not getting paid overtime when you're eligible, or not getting paid for the hours that you've worked. While there have been numerous studies on minimum wage, none that I know of actually address wage theft, which makes sense because the research questions are about the minimum wage. However, we live in Seattle where the minimum wage ordinance took effect, and it took effect on January 1st of 2015, starting at $11 an hour, and it's been ramped up to $15 an hour actually for all businesses as of this coming January 1st will be at that $15 an hour minimum wage. Between 2014 and 2019, the number of claims filed against Seattle businesses rose by 129% from 249 claims. This is filed with the State Department of Labor and Industries in 2014 to 571 claims in 2019. In 2014, 6% of claims were for unpaid minimum wage. In 2015, it rose to 7.2%. In 2016, the number jumped to 13.4%. And just for dollar figures, in 2014, so before the minimum wage took effect, the claims totaled just over $500,000. In 2015, it jumped to just under $900,000, so a 74% increase. In 2016, it jumped to just under $5 million. And these numbers are also especially staggering because you can actually file a claim for $0, which if you join me in the poster session, we can talk more about. So why does this matter? Well, more and more jurisdictions are raising their minimum wage. This year, 47 jurisdictions raised their minimum wage and 15 met or surpassed $15 an hour. If wage theft increases as a result of these ordinances, these jurisdictions need to pass stricter anti-wage theft laws and also need to make sure that there's an infrastructure to investigate and enforce them. So my question going forward, and please join me in the poster section, is how can we investigate if there is a causal relationship between raising the minimum wage and an increase in wage theft claims? Thanks.
Thank you so much, Izzy. Our next speaker is Ellie Terry. She is a doctoral student in public policy repping strong today. And she is discussing the question, is diabetes reducing the potential size of the workforce?
Thanks, Maxine. So America has a big problem. 1 in 10 adults have diabetes and 1 in 3 are at risk of developing it. This is a problem because it's a highly dangerous disease. People with diabetes could develop conditions which are debilitating, such as cardiovascular disease, nerve damage, and kidney damage. These health problems hurt quality of life, shorten lifespans, and they reduce people's ability to provide for their families by working. So in this project, I focused on economic consequences of the health problems caused by diabetes. Specifically, I asked, is diabetes reducing the potential size of the workforce? Labor force participation rates vary greatly by state, especially if you specifically focus on those who are not working because they say they're too sick to work. For example, in 2016, 12% of the population in Mississippi, Kentucky, and West Virginia did not participate in the labor market because they were too sick to work. In contrast, only 3.5% of the population in Utah, Iowa, and North Dakota reported being too sick to work. Now, this pattern closely resembles the pattern of diabetes across the United States. In fact, the two variables have a correlation of 0.83. So to investigate this relationship further, I use individual level data in the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance Survey. I employ a matching methodology to compare individuals with similar demographic and health profiles. I find that 25 to 54-year-olds with diabetes are on average 17% less likely to participate in labor force because they are too sick to work compared to their matched counterparts. Now, this depressing finding sheds light on a potential opportunity for policymakers. Policies have the potential to turn these statistics around by encouraging healthy behaviors such as diet and exercise that can reduce diabetes and in turn bolster economic growth through greater labor market participation. Thanks.
Wonderful. And last but most certainly not least is June Yang. June is a doctoral student in the Department of Sociology, and she is going to be speaking to the effects models of marriage and mortality for using China 1990 data. June, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Maxine. Let's see. Let me share my screen. Okay, so what I will be presenting is an ongoing work of my master's thesis that use individual and contextual effects to model the relationship between marriage and mortality using the China 1990 data. My objectives are to answer the following questions. Does mortality differential exist between groups in and out of marriage? And also, does this effect vary by individual and contextual level covariates? I used the data from the 1% cluster sample of China 1990 census together with an unpublished data set on mortality data that corresponding with the census. And I also used the China A data set by Skinner and Henderson that has county level variables of the same era. I use logistic regression as the method, and I believe that my study will contribute first to at the debate about this topic, about who benefit marriage, and also whether this effect varies by different levels on individual and by among 3 groups of the not married. And it will also be the first study that systematically looks into the relationship of the total population of China with important covariates controlled for. And it addresses the unique context of China 1990, where we see large disparities in economic development, social services, and mortalities, and where hypergamy norms and co-residence of families exist. And also we will say more about the phenomenon of quote unquote the leftover women who were never married and highly educated in their, for example, late 20s or 30s. Selected results up till now, I have found that both females and males experience higher odds of mortality in groups of the never married and the widowed compared to the married. Especially for female, the never married female population experience the highest odds of death compared to the married across different contexts. And this mortality differential is weighing as people pass age 60, especially for males. Delving deeper into the context, we can see that both females and male never married population will experience a higher odds of death in villages with high percentage of population married. And also in villages where women education is better, this mortality differential is smaller between the never married and the married females, and even becomes negative when the never married female are over age 60. And the never married males and widowed groups, widowed males will experience a higher odds of death compared to the married males in high income counties. So please join me in the breakout rooms to discuss more about my work. Thank you.
Thank you to our wonderful presenters. In just a moment, I will be moving you all to breakout rooms. Once you're in those breakout rooms, like Maxine mentioned at the beginning of the talk, you'll be able to choose which breakout rooms you move between. And so you can do that by clicking the More button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There are 3 dots above it, and you'll have the option of switching rooms while you're in there. If you have any issues, feel free to come back to the main session and let us know. Once you're there, I'll also be sending out a link to a survey to vote on your favorite poster. And then we'll be awarding the best poster presentation at the end. That will be based on audience feedback as well as feedback from a panel of 7 faculty members who were very generous with their time to review and give feedback on these posters. And I just want to give a shout out to them. They are Ruann Barnabas, Kyle Crowder, Scott Allard, Natalie Williams, Maria Blyle, Arthur Ackelin, and Melissa Knox. So thank you very much for that. So I will be opening those breakout rooms in just a moment. Hey, did it work okay going into the breakout room and everything?
I mean, I can get in, but I can't move around once I'm in there.
Man.
So worst comes to worst, we just bring everyone back and then sort them into new ones.
Yeah.
I can tell some jokes while you do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll broadcast a message to everybody noting that.
Hey, Christine.
Hey, are you gonna say that you can't move between breakout rooms?
Yeah, I was curious how you do that.
Okay, so it sounds like it just is not working
Oh, okay. No problem.
right now, and so so given that the easiest thing to do might be I'll close the breakout rooms in just like a couple of minutes, and then we'll just try again with a
Yeah.
with a different set.
That's a
Or
great
I'll-
idea.
yeah, or alternatively, I can move you into a different room just manually too.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I just wanted to ask if there if there was something I was missing, but don't worry. And that sounds like a good idea.
I think potentially we should, like, we could call everyone back and just make everyone co-host. And then they could move around, just so you wouldn't have to do it multiple times, but I'm not sure how much time that would take. The other advantage would be that people would have the actual link to the survey in the chat, so they could just click on it.
Sounds good. That's a good option. Hey, Sarah, I just, I imagine you're gonna, it looks like the function isn't working for some reason. So we'll bring everybody back in a couple of minutes and just make everybody co-hosts so that people can choose.
For the survey thing. Because I was going to suggest that if you wanted, we could travel through the groups and drop the link in each of our respective chats.
Oh, are you able to travel through the groups, Sarah?
I'm not able to travel through that. Like now
Okay.
I need to be put into another breakout, but if I had like right now a link to the chat if I had a link to the survey, I could go through and do that right now and put it in the survey. I mean, or all of us could go through and do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll be here just to answer questions and to try and get everybody to be co-hosts. But if you two wouldn't mind going between those rooms, that would be.
But I need you to drop the link into the chat now.
Oh
And
yeah,
also,
totally.
could you make us both co-hosts? Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Just 1 second. Here's the link.
Thank you.
Okay, and then make everyone co-host.
No. Oops. Okay, and then how do I get to another breakout room?
So we have to open up the breakout rooms again. So I'm just about to close all the rooms.
Christine, can we join? How do we join another breakout group, or is it too late?
So there apparently is an issue with that not working right now. So we're going to make everybody a co-host, and then you'll be able to move between the rooms that you're choosing.
Okay.
And while we're waiting, I don't know where everybody else is. Like
Everybody's
Corey-
just coming from the breakout rooms.
They're all gonna appear all at once in what, 20 seconds or so.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Hello, everyone. My apologies for the confusion. It looks like the function just isn't working. It's also a function that's available on the most recent iteration of Zoom, and it could be an issue with updates and things like that. But what we're going to do to make it possible for everybody to move between breakout rooms is we'll make everybody a co-host and then open up the breakout rooms, and then you'll be able to go between and choose your room. So I just ask for your patience for just a moment while I do that. But in the meantime, if anybody would like to ask the questions of presenters, feel free to do that. And Sarah also posted the link to the ballot for the posters in the chat as well. And we'll make sure to make that available in the breakout rooms as well. So again, I'll just move towards making everybody a co-host and open it up to questions.
So just to be clear, Christine, you're also going to reassign people to move through breakout rooms again. Is that the idea?
Yes, once everybody is a co-host, we'll open up the breakout rooms, and then you'll be able to choose what rooms you go between. This will take a few minutes. So again, if you have any questions, I'll let Maxine field those.
There's a question in the chat for Zhao Wen. How did you associate the increase in endorsements of the central government with the people who were submitting petitions versus, for example, an overall increasing trend in endorsements of the central government?
This is a really great question. So in this project, instead of, in addition to looking at the empirical analysis part to see like information provision actually boosts civic engagement, I also look at the specific petition language. So I can take a look at every petition like citizen file to the local government to see what they are really talking about. And I observe some narratives like, oh, the central government is really trying too hard to counter air pollution in China. And we really want to appreciate like the light of the party, this kind of narratives. So it's really interesting to see that in general, in Chinese case, people are likely to refer to the improvement in air quality or this improvement in environmental governance to the efforts taken by the central government rather than the local governments. So they do see that their problems should be addressed by the local governments. The local governments should be really trying really hard to fulfill the central government's mandates in countering air pollution or bringing better environment in China. So this is a scenario I observe based on the petition language that is used by citizens.
Interesting.
I guess I have a question for Ellie. I don't know if I missed this in your presentation, but I was wondering if you could speak to the sort of racialized nature of diabetes and cardiovascular disease and how that might impact your analyses. You're muted, sorry.
Thanks. Yes, that's a great question, Maxine. And there definitely are differences by racial groups, and particularly Black and Brown Americans have higher rates of diabetes, and as do Hispanic Americans. It doesn't exactly impact my analysis in terms of like the average effect because of my matching methodology, but diabetes itself is disproportionately impacting different racial groups in America.
Great. And Izzy in the chat, Matt asked, could you talk a bit more about the data set you're using or plan to use and what kinds of analyses you think you might do?
Yeah, so I am using a data set that is all wage theft claims filed with the State Department of Labor and Industries in Washington State from 2007 to the end of 2019. I actually wrote my master's thesis on this, looking at a very different, just a subset, because it was also 6 years ago. But I've been working with Columbia Legal Services, just kind of continually on this. And so honestly, I'm really interested in the idea of wage theft being this externality, but the organizations that I've worked with in conjunction previously, so Columbia Legal Services, the National Employment Law Project, Casa Latina, are really just interested in like the scope of how many people, the amounts, and then the big thing that is going to take a little while because this is the one place where the data is super messy is the types of businesses. And so construction is kind of a leading one. And there are whole issues around that with folks who are undocumented and retaliation, and that's a whole other topic. But looking that as we've had the other thing is as we've had a population boom and as we've had a business boom in Seattle specifically, but in Washington in general over the last few years, to see, is the amount of reported wage theft also like tracking, is it growing in proportion, staying the same in proportion to the number of workers we have in the state? And so I haven't thought too far ahead because in talking to these organizations that I've been working with, like to want to get them that data first, but then again, like I said, soliciting input for methodology to kind of test this research question. So to be continued.
Izzy, everybody has been made a co-host. So I'll open up the breakout rooms and you should now be able to choose your rooms, and we'll be in those for 10 minutes. So feel free to cycle between them.
Christine,
Yeah.
I don't see anything popping up.
Let me see. Oh, this is because I have not assigned you. I will assign you right now.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Beatrix, I am so sorry to forcefully do that to you. I was just, you're still presenting on the winner for the lightning talks, right? Or awarding, right? Sorry, I think you're on mute.
No, I believe I am. I haven't been, I was emailing a little bit with Maxine and.
Hey, Sarah, we were just talking about the logistics for closing the rooms in just a minute and then announcing the winners.
Oh, okay. I just didn't even get to the to all the rooms.
I know.
Gosh, I know. It's, yeah, we tested it out as like me and Veda and Gianna, and it worked with the three of us. But of course, you know, I'm not sure if it's just some people, like it doesn't work on some people's or it doesn't work on everybody's. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Zoom.
But I think it has a lot of potential. So
definitely, yeah. I think next time, you know, if we just sort of defaulted on this system and then I just assign people while the students were presenting, then we could just go with the co-host option as our kind of default and
yeah,
maximize the time.
Hi, Maria.
How are you?
I'm good. It looks like somebody. Are you going to manage letting people in?
Yeah, I'm just about to close the rooms in just a minute.
So I wasn't able to navigate through the room, so I don't know.
I wasn't either.
Okay.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I didn't get a choice to go other places. I was just in the same place, and I thought eventually I'd get a choice, but then other people were changing and I was staying the same, so I figured it was me. So then I came back here because I thought maybe I was.
When it said leave meeting, Christine, it just said there was no option to go to another meeting. So maybe my Zoom.
You have to click on the breakout rooms icon specifically,
okay.
And then it'll show you all of the breakout rooms, and you can click join for all of the different ones.
Yeah. Maria, I just firmed up February 5.
Okay, I saw that you wrote in the title. Are there people?
Yep, people too.
Okay, should I follow?
I'll send it. I just haven't had time.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know we're all done for winter quarter.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So real quick, I just wanted to bring us all together to announce the winner of the poster competition, and then we'll still have a few more minutes. I know it was difficult for some people to move between breakout rooms, so I just wanted to give people the opportunity to ask any kind of last remaining questions if you didn't get into the breakout room that you wanted to move between, so give some space for that. But first, I'll let Beatrix Haddock, who was our previous winner of the Lightning Talks, have the honor of announcing the winners of the Lightning Talk presentation.
Is my audio on? Cool.
Yes, it is.
Well, first, thank you so much for sharing your research. It's really cool to learn about all of that. And then congratulations to Ellie, Terry, and Veda Patwaran for your posters and for winning the poster session. You guys will be also getting gift cards via email.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful presentations, and I'm very sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll make sure to have those ironed out by the next Lightning Talk presentations, but again, just to acknowledge that I know that some people had trouble moving between lightning talk presentations. Are there any questions in the last few minutes we have for our presenters?
Hi, Christine. I think I still got one question that I was not able to answer fully. Can I address here? Yeah, I think the question looks like why I look at 2 different automation days in this case. So first of all, so actually different cities, each city is designated with a specific date to install the real-time air quality monitoring stations in their city. However, cities can actually install the automation days or install the air monitoring system in advance. The reason is that China used the coal-fired heating system in the winter, and the designated days are usually in the December and January, which is a winter time. And the air quality tend to be really bad during that time. So they tend to install or publish the data in advance just to display better air quality metrics in advance to their public or to their government officials, to their central leaders, etc. So yeah, that's my answer.
Thanks.
I think we will put the posters online, right, Christine?
Yes, my apologies. I was just typing out. We'll make the recording available and then share the presentations as well. Any other questions for our presenters?
Thank you, Christine. That was great. And thank you, Maxine. That was helpful. I know it was a lot to undertake.
Yeah, big shout out to Maxine for being the driving force behind it.
I also really want to shout out our presenters, because moving to this new format and being our sort of inaugural Zoom presenters isn't easy, and you all did such an admirable job. So thank you so much for A, your bravery, but also B, your very, very cool scholarly work.
Yeah. There's a question for Ellie in the chat. Too bad we don't have snacks to nibble on and keep talking.
Great. So this is a question from Beatrix. Is diabetes disproportionately a burden in POC communities if you stratify by income or SDI?
What's SDI?
So like a sociodemographic index, so like
Oh.
if you like income and education and.
I gotcha. I actually don't remember. I haven't looked at it specifically, but I do remember looking at the too sick to work rate, and there's definitely some kind of cultural component. So there was, I remember the too sick to work rate was higher for rich families in Louisiana, for example, than poor families in Nevada. So there's some kind of like, I mean, I don't know if you've been to Louisiana, but the food's really good. So there's some kind of cultural element for sure. So it could be true in like communities of color as well, even once controlling for income.
Interesting.
Any other questions for our presenters?
I don't think anybody wants to leave and say goodbye. It's so nice to be together.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I just wanted to make sure to note too before we break, and again, feel free to put in your questions in the chat. But Amy Dector, our amazing training director who steps down as training director last June, she'll officially be retiring in January. So we're so indebted to her for her leadership of the training program and transformation of the training program over the years. So stay tuned for more announcements regarding that.
Thank you so much, Christine. And I just want to add that it's been a pleasure working with you guys. And Sarah had to remind me earlier that I'm retiring, and I really shouldn't still keep in touch with everybody, but I love students and I miss them. And because I am so obsessive, only because somebody like Christine is inheriting the position, do I really feel relaxed and happy, because otherwise I would just still be worried about everything. So thank you, Christine. You're just amazing. I couldn't imagine that you picked everything up like immediately and knew exactly what to do. So thank you, and thank you, everybody.
Well, thank
And
you.
I'll just,
Oh, go ahead.
I'll just again, I'll continue the the accolades for Amy. Just big thanks for. I didn't pick everything up immediately. It was a lot because of Amy helping to the extent that I think we're all very familiar with benefiting from. So, so again, we've been so lucky.
So you'll be getting a save the date, I hope soon, and we'll have a little celebratory event for Amy in January. So
Oh my goodness, thank you, Sarah.
Look out for that. And it'll be January 2021, and it'll be 21, and we'll all be much happier. It'll be an end in sight. So thank you, Amy, for everything.
Thank you, everyone. And Sarah, I really miss you a lot. So hopefully we'll still be in touch.
Absolutely. Okay.
Well, if there aren't any remaining questions, thank you again so much to our presenters, so much to Maxine for helping with this event. And it was wonderful seeing all of you. Have a wonderful break. And I hope it's restful and hope the new year brings some better things. Great seeing you all.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.